Hello, everyone. This is our Cat's Gay. I'm here with Jupiter, and this
Hi.
is Cat. Hello, and this is Kaggot. Kaggot time. Naga the dog. And today we are going to be talking about grifters, the right, the left, and I don't know, cheese, whatever happens to
We're
come
not
up.
talking about no cheese. I
Huh?
ate meat for breakfast. I can't eat cheese for 12 more hours. Don't talk about cheese.
Don't even talk about it. Huh? Yeah, it's not kosher to talk about cheese when you've had meat for breakfast.
Thank you.
Oh my god, I love cheeseburgers. I don't know if I could do that.
And I lied. I had a protein bar for breakfast.
Oh, such a bad boy. So why don't you start us off? So we were talking about how a lot of people on the right think that because the left is currently eating itself 6 ways from Sunday, that a lot of people on the right think that everything is all hunky-dory on the right. But you're saying that there's actually a problem going on right now that no one's really paying attention to.
Well, my thing is, and as many people know, I view Andrew Breitbart as one of the most influential figures of the 21st century. But one thing that he's famous for saying, and it bears repeating, politics is downstream of culture. Twitter has made people like Bernie Sanders, Stephen King, J.K. Rowling huge titans of their industries. Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, fear for their cultural safety. Now, Twitter is important. It is, because although it really isn't important, and if people ignored it more, and if we all stood up and were like, no one cares about you people, you're a fraction of the population.
But it's
Most of you don't even live here.
But it's important to the current setup.
And it is. And it also sets trends. Now, one thing that's happening is the left is eating itself. The far left, the semi-far left, which we call moderates, which really they're socialist scumbags. But one of the things that's happening is while they eat themselves, we are saying, I'll give you an example. And this is an example I gave Katz last night, John Ward. And I hate to invoke him all the time, but I believe that he's one of the people like him, let's just say. He's about the top of this. But there are brilliant right-wingers who are creative, who are fun, who are funny, who will bring people into our tent. And I was looking at a post by him. It was that video he made about Chuck Schumer and Chuck Schumer going to his seat during the impeachment, and he tried to, get someone out of his seat that wasn't even there. It was just nobody in the seat, but he's like, "Get out of my seat, bro." And that was the John Ward video. It had a couple dozen likes, a couple retweets. And then right below that, it was some guy who made his account in December of 2019, some random black guy saying, blacks don't have to be Democrat. That's all he said. Just some random black guy, never put in any work, never, he's brand new to the Republican side or the conservative side, and he's got thousands of likes. His comment made John Ward's literal masterpiece look
the
like
actual video, the thing that he's commenting on was less popular than the comment itself.
Right. And go ahead, please.
No, and that is definitely what we were talking about, how there is a certain part of the conservative movement that is so eager for any kind of validation from groups that traditionally weren't part of it that they will deprioritize their own voice to be seen or to be part of, like, oh my god, like a black conservative, it's a unicorn.
But wait, yes, and that's the big one. All you have to do is be a minority and be willing to debase yourself to get famous on the conservative side these days. But more importantly, I'll give you another one. There are people like Serena, that girl I showed you. I can
Mm-hmm.
bring up the messages. She's a conservative person. She is one of those people who's like, follow this patriot. All you have to do these days is steal a bunch of tweets or be a girl or say, I'm a patriot and I'm being shadow banned, and you have a billion retweets, a billion likes. But you have people like Baritone's Bones, a friend of mine, a friend of ours, John Ward, Conservative Resurgence, people like this, Bill Whittle. And they put a lot of time and effort into their work. They have thought about conservative principles and conservatism and how to win this war for a long time. They should be at the forefront of this war. But instead, what we have are people like, I'm now a patriot because I left the left. And 1,000 likes.
So on that same subject, so you're familiar with Brandon Straga, correct?
Yeah, walk away.
Yeah. Now, would you consider him to be a part of this phenomenon, or would you consider him to be a legitimately good actor?
Yes, no, and no. And yes, no, and no. I think that yes, I believe that he's part of this. No, I don't think that he's what I'm talking about, because the thing about Brandon Straka is he walked away, but the difference between him and everyone else is he thought about these things before he made the videos.
Mm-hmm.
He put in the work. Dude made like a really great video. That first walk away video, time was put into that.
Mm-hmm.
It was cinematic magic. That brings people to our side. It was well thought out. It was well planned, and there was effort put into that. That's not the same as just writing 18 words in a tweet
Yeah.
and all of a sudden being famous.
See, yeah, because the walkaway movement, the walkaway movement phenomenon is probably pretty valuable because it does actually require people to stop, reflect for a minute, and share their experience, not just, as you said, not just tweet. There is some effort that you have to put into it, assuming you actually go through the trouble of making one of those videos.
But I think the big difference is that the walk away movement and what Brandon Straka did was, all right, here's the diff. All right, that's, I'm glad you're always bringing up the best. Like, this is why Katz and I work, by the way. He brings up things that are just so poignant and perfect in the moment. And here's why Brandon Straka doesn't connect with these people that I'm talking about. Brandon Straka brings people into the tent. You don't bring people into the tent by being some Twitter personality that's made your account 2 weeks ago, realized all you have to do to become famous in our realm now is to be like, I love America and I'm black, or I don't have to be Democrat and I'm Jewish, or I don't have to be Democrat and I'm a girl, or I'm walking away from the Democrat Party, or hey, patriots, I'm being shadow banned. We're all being shadow banned. We all come from diverse backgrounds. No one cares.
So
But
you're saying
the difference between Brandon Straka and these people is he put the work in.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you to put this to contrast Brandon Straka to a specific person instead of a nebulous person. So how would you compare someone like Brandon Straka to, say, Kathy Zhu?
Oh, they're worlds apart.
I know this, but
I wish you wouldn't have said Kathy Zhu.
someone else you'd rather talk about?
No, I'd love to talk about Kathy Zhu, but it's just that.
Is there a better example?
There's a better example for what the point you're trying to drive home.
Okay.
The thing about Kathy Zhu is she is a grifter in the sense where, number one, all she does day after day is talk about how racist and horrible the right is. It's all she does. I mean, these days, now that she got in with the right, all she does, like today, for instance, on Twitter, she says, well, maybe if the Republicans want more votes, they should stop posting racist stuff online. It's like everyone posts racist stuff online, left, right, and center.
Do you think she's trying to be one of the good conservatives so that the liberals will talk to her again?
I think more that she had a few conservative ideals or was attracted to a few conservative ideals and got in with that whole grifter crowd, like the Alaska,
Turning
all that picture I sent you. But
Turning Point and all that.
right, but I think she still holds the liberal view of conservatives. And it's funny, all Kathy Zhu, and I hate to get off topic, but all she does is criticize the right when meanwhile, does she ever talk about that Molly Zhang girl? Does she ever talk about all these people on the left who constantly criticize white people? No. All she does is talk about the shitposting groypers that have been messing with her ever since her and Nick Fuentes were a thing, and that stopped. And now all of a sudden, she has no ideals. She has no morals. She has no principles. And so when her and Nick Fuentes broke apart, and the Groypers came after her, now all she does every day, all day, exhaustingly, is talk about the right-wing racism. Racism. It's so boring.
Yes. So, and do you want to continue on that point, or do you want to get back to what you were saying with the grifters?
Well, I don't want to. All right, so yeah, yes, the latter. But I really want to say, and I don't mean to take up all the air in this podcast. I want to get
Yeah,
back to a conversation between us, but I just want to finish my thought with this.
please.
What I mean is, you have a lot of boomers on our side who, and I hate to say this, sorry guys, but all they do is post the same GIF like Jennifer Lawrence spitting out her water, like laughing. Like they post that same GIF all day, and all they have to do is say something patriot or shut up libtard, and they're brilliant all of a sudden, and they latch onto that. And these people are the ones we're allowing to rise to the top. But my real point is, and again, I'm going to come back to the same thing. I'm literally scrolling my timeline, and in my feed there is this guy who literally just made his account 33 days prior. All he had to do was say, blacks don't have to be Democrats. No, and the next post down was John's new video. Now, John, back in the 2016s, people understood this is the route we need to go. Fun, original, creative, brilliant.
Intelligent.
Let the cream rise to the top. But now the scum is rising to the top and the cream is falling. But to see this guy who made his account 33 days ago, not just blow John's video that who knows how long he took to make it, not just blow it out of, not just like get more votes, but just likes, but just blow it out of the water.
It's disheartening.
It highlighted to me what our movement is becoming. Although the left is eating itself, it's easy to get confused that we're not eating ourselves, but we're allowing the same rhino, boomer, boring Republican cream milquetoast nonsense to rise to the top. Again, we're doing it again. We're literally doing it again.
So you're saying
we're Mitt Romneying again.
You're saying that the right is homogenizing itself in a very mediocre way.
In the most mediocre way. And we've let the people, like, another example, someone like Soul, S-O-L Soul, Meme Queen, or Baritone's Bones, people like this, they don't hashtag.
No, they just make their memes and they have their thing to say.
Hope that the community respects it. But these other people, they have 14 hashtags in their tweets, and they're like, follow back. It's like, and that's what's becoming popular. It's become popular.
Do you think the reason that this is, why, like, the John Wards, the Souls, the Baritone Bones, the reason that they're not getting the attention that these grifters, as you put it, get is they're because people like John Ward, for instance, are actually trying to say something. They're actually trying to accomplish something, and that's difficult and requires forming connections with people. Whereas the grifting type, all they're just playing a game. They're just trying to get noticed, and they'll do whatever they have to from moment to moment to get noticed. And because they have no particular agenda other than their own popularity, they will, they're opportunists. They'll just do what they need to.
God, that's so perfectly put. That is so perfectly put. I actually had to think about that for a second. That was so perfect. That was very well said. Yes. Yes.
And
There are people that are willing to debase themselves, and there are people that would rather
make a
protect
point.
their integrity and make a point and care about what they're saying and mean it. They mean it, and you can tell. You can tell the ones that mean it and the ones that don't. The ones that mean it, they would rather throw their work out into the ether and hope something, hope like-minded people are like, wow, I hear you, I see you, and I love it. But these other people, they could care less. They could care less. They just want the fame.
They'll use one hashtag 1 minute and a contradictory hashtag the next, or they love one person one day and then they hate him the next day, just because that's what's trending, that's what's popular.
And exactly. And the other thing is that in 2016, people like John and Soul and even Styx, even Sargon, people like that, they were punk rock. Not punk rock, they were punk. They were like Crass. They were like the Bad Brains. They were punk. They were bucking the system. But now bucking the system and saying the deep state and the swamp, and now we went from conservatism being counterculture to conservatism being ironic counterculture, where boomers who are not counterculture are like, oh, libtards, oh, you think it's like it's a joke at this point, and they're making us corny.
Why do you think this is? Corny. Why do you think this is?
Because I love you, by the way.
Thank you.
I have the best reason for that. I have the best answer too. I just came up with it. Huge brain. It's so smooth. If you looked at my brain under a microscope, it would be literally so smooth, it would look like an oyster. It's like my brain is so smooth and huge. And that's not from the alcohol. It's just naturally that big. But why is that? Why that is that the silent majority finally got their champion in Trump. People finally started standing up, and young people finally started getting engaged. Like the Bernie bros in 2015 and the Trump people, it was young people against young people meme warring. It wasn't Hillary. Hillary's people never had any memes. They didn't have any brilliant, big-brained monsters who were making like the craziest GIFs, memes. I mean, videos. I've never seen anything like it. The great meme war was the most beautiful thing. Hillary's people weren't involved. But I think that once boomers started getting on Twitter to hang out with Trump and see Trump's tweets, they latched on to the younger people's ideas, and they beat that horse with a stick so big that by the time the smoke cleared from all the marrow being thrown around from the dead horse they were beating of our jokes, all that was left was these boomers who latched on to libtard, or they're not Democrats, they're demon rats, and the things that were funny once, but like they literally
overused them.
Personality type to just say libtard, and they embarrass us.
So what's the solution?
I got a big, smooth brain, but I don't know if I have that big of a brain. I think the solution is I don't know. I think that they've gained too much traction, and I don't really think that there's much of a inroad for us anymore. I think the solution is getting young people engaged.
More young people.
Um,
Because Zoomers are only it seems like we're kind of, tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I mean, like, other than the Groypers, Zoomers, are they very involved in politics, really? Or are they just sort of like, watching the world burn and laughing about it on Twitter and Tumblr and whatever other service they're using?
it was the Groyper, Zoomer, Coomer, all that crowd is a natural reaction to what happened because in 2015, 2016, early 2017, it was fun and cool to be one of us. It was counterculture. It was punk rock. It was punk. It was great. It was rebellious. But then when the boomers and not just boomers, I don't want to say boomers. I'd rather just say like milquetoast, unoriginal, everyday
The normies.
normies. They stole everything. They stole Pepe. They took everything from us. And so I think that the Groypers, the Coomers, and the Zoomers were a natural reaction because we all wanted to be rebellious. We all hated these people. We all hated the left. We all hated the society that they were building. And so we rebelled. But when the normies took our slang, our memes, our everything, I think the only natural reaction from the right would be a Groyper, would be a Nick Fuentes, would be or even a Milo, or the only way you can go further than we went in 2015, 2016 is to be just horrible. And ironically, most times, but what really sucks is that these kids, they could have had so much fun with us. Like, look at when my favorite moment of the meme war personally, and what I think really characterized it, because we had fun like that. It was all about fun and chaos. It wasn't about being awful. It wasn't about
Being angry or
right. It was showing them their absurdity. But my favorite landmark of the meme war was when Shia LaBeouf had that little thing where he set up a camera and had like a dance party, and Pepe and Frog People and Kekastanis found it and ran up into the camera and would say things like, Hitler did nothing wrong, or, they would say just like horrible things or funny things, and it was the best. And then so Shia LaBeouf was like, all right, racist and Nazis and right-wingers found our place, so I'm going to make a secret location. And by the star alignment, and he went in the middle of nowhere. And just by so 4chan and 8chan people looked at the star alignment of his live stream, saw which constellations were in the sky, and found his cast by star signals.
The famous weaponized autism of the Chans.
And it was fun. It was brilliance. It was hilarity. It was the greatest thing of all time. But now all you have to do, all right, let's forget the grifters for a while. Not even grifters. Let's forget the normie boomers that have stolen everything. Let's go far right now. All you have to do now is be like, oh, Jews in an oven. Ha 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 ha. It's like there was brilliance to the Pepe movement, to Frog Twitter, real Frog Twitter, not Groyper Twitter. Groyper actually is Pepe's, I believe, uncle or cousin, and he's like more horrible and more, blah, blah, blah. Pepe
that's the fat one with the hands under his chin.
Yeah.
Just so for those who don't know.
But they don't get it that there was all right. So so now you have these first America First Groyper type people who go into Ben Shapiro rallies. Wow, how brave are you to stand up to fucking Ben Shapiro? Listen,
He's a 3-foot Jew with a family.
More importantly, I mean, do you know how many sex tapes me and Abigail Shapiro have made?
I've seen them. It's pretty
Pretty
gross, I
good.
have to say. I don't
It's
think that's
good, though.
I don't think that's kosher. I really don't.
How dare you? Why? Because of the fucking why? Because of the bacon dildo. It's not actually made of bacon. It just looks like it.
But you used lard as a lubricant.
Do you have to just throw my stuff out to the world? We're gonna post this on YouTube.
I know. I do it for the views.
Oh. But how about when Hillary was giving that speech and someone yells out, Pepe! That's all he had to do was yell out Pepe. And it was world news. And Rachel Maddow was like, what? Supremacy? It was like, all right, or White Lives Matter. Okay? It was just the most innocuous phrase. And they even had a...
You mean it's okay to be white?
It's okay to be white, but the White Lives Matter... Yeah, but the White Lives Matter board. It was the messaging board.
Mm.
When they made all the it's okay to be white 8 by 11.5 or 8.5 by 11 paper, they would put around college campuses. I didn't, but someone put stuff on the Pitt campus and CMU.
Yeah.
I believe it was
MAGA. Check her paws, see if there's any ink.
MAGA tea. But it wasn't like we were trying to torture black people. It was we were trying to get them to expose their own hatred and their own.
And not even just black people, like anyone who would have an issue with such an innocuous and true statement. Like if, it's really interesting how the All Lives Matter hashtag was so triggering to the Black Lives Matter crowd because they would say that it was invalidating Black Lives Matter. Like they say, of course it does, but you don't get to say, of course they do, but we're not talking about that right now when your whole movement is based on essentially ethnic nationalism and the devaluation of another race as a result of it.
But whites can't be, blacks can't be racist. People of color can't be racist. But you know my favorite one was? And by the way, I'm not one of these people, but there are, and some of my friends are, and I'm not going to name him right now, but a lot of you just saw him yesterday on my feed. A lot of Jews look like me, okay? Not that big of a nose, green eyes, brown hair, white skin, pale. A lot of people in that, just non-religious Jews. They don't wear one of these. They don't, they're not that religious. But they saw how much that Black Lives Matter, this lives matter, but oh no, Jews have white privilege. You're white, period. You're not on the intersectional ladder. You guys do too well in school. You do too well in this. You do too well in that. No, you're not with us. The amount of Jews that realize eventually, especially in the last year, that you're white and you're not welcome in their crew. And you're a racist, by the way, inherently.
Remember the Women's March?
Right? Oh, yeah, exactly. Jews weren't allowed in their meetings. Exactly. But I was not one of those. I've been in this for much longer than 80% of people. And I saw that you could have Black Lives Matter literally storm stages screaming Black Lives Matter with a black power fist up. And all these kids did was say, it's okay to be white. All MAGA the dog did was literally go to her dad's office, print out 15 regular size paper with it's okay to be white, and use a stapler to put it on signs.
And people set themselves on fire.
It was beautiful. Terrible, but beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw that. I was just like, it's on. It's a war now. And I knew that both black, white, Jewish, Mexican, gay, straight, Christian, whatever, would look at this and say, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. And I knew that that's where the battle lines were drawn.
Yeah, it is really one of the things that they'll probably have to at some point look back on this decade or this generation, the rise of overt covert anti-white racism. I mean, eventually we're going to have to get past this idea that only white people can be racist, that it's this whole prejudice plus power thing. I don't know, like, it doesn't make any sense. There are people who think that the effect of Trump on the Republican Party is giving Republicans more of a I don't give a shit attitude towards the liberals, like a less conciliatory, less like please invite us to your golf clubs kind of attitude. Do you think that that's true? The example they often use is that one senator, I think it was a senator or congressperson who, when like the CNN journalist tried to talk to her, she said, "I don't want to talk to you. You're a liberal hack."
McSally, Martha McSally.
Sure.
I think that, on that note, I think that to your question, I think that I heard something that it's not true, but Kurt and I were talking yesterday, and we were with the young Republicans, and not just young, just Republicans when we were protesting Connor Lamb, and Kurt said something that was just so true. He's a new Republican, okay, conservative, let's say, and like he voted last minute for Trump, literally the day of he decided. But he said, if you wanted to make a plan to destroy a society, if you wanted to make the greatest plan ever to destroy society, what would you do? You'd make no cash bail for criminals, raise the taxes to 70%. If you wanted a plan to destroy society, you would do everything the left is doing, open borders. And that's true. But another friend of mine said something even more profound, which is a conspiracy theory. Again, that's not true, but what Kurt said is true. This isn't true, but it makes sense along those same lines. It's not that the left and the globalists are ruling the world. It's that white supremacists are ruling the world, and that they're putting these fake actors out there to say all this anti-white stuff, push interracial marriage, interracial dating, like black supremacy, Muslim supremacy, that they're doing it to incite white people to rise up and you get that
Yeah.
that's his theory.
That is weird, but kind of interesting.
Come on, is that not a fun?
No, the idea that like that racists would stoke up other racism against them just to get people on their side. It's actually not that old. It's a fairly old idea, really. It's like they don't know what they're really like. They just think that they're our friends. Like, so we need to show them that they're not. But maybe, I don't know.
If you really think about it, if that was the plan,
no, it's working.
It's working swimmingly.
Yep.
There are people that were the most racially conscious, decent. I don't care if my daughter marries whoever, as long as she's happy type folk who are now like blatant racists because they look and everywhere they look, they see these towers of you're horrible for being white. You're racist just by dint of your birth. And if you're an opioid addicted loser white guy in a trailer park who never had any options in life, you're more privileged than Michael Jordan. Yeah, it would be a pretty good plan to fucking put that stuff out there because people would start being like, wait, I'm more privileged than Michael Jordan. And then you start telling, so my favorite was that girl, not Talia, but the Indian one. who said that even if you're a Holocaust survivor, like a literal Holocaust survivor, not a survivor's kid, not a survivor's grandkid, you were in the camps. In America, if you moved from the camps, escaped, and moved to America, you have more privilege than your everyday black multimillionaire.
Was that Sarah Rowe or whatever?
Oh, no, not Sarah Rowe. Sarah, is it Rowe? No, not Rowe. But anyway,
It
let's not
doesn't
get
matter. But yeah, that's just ridiculous on the face of it.
well, but you know what? I love when they say things like that because we say, well, that's just ridiculous on the face of it. But yeah, because it's very extreme. But everything they say is ridiculous on the face of it.
Oh, no question about that.
It doesn't take them telling Holocaust survivors that they have more privilege than Kanye West. It doesn't take that. It does, but it shouldn't take that for you to see that everything they say is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just the most ridiculous. I mean, like, excuse me, there are a number of really bizarre and ridiculous things that people say on this subject, and most of the time people will just dismiss it as like, oh, that's just people being, ridiculous, whatever. Like, don't pay, like, they don't speak for everyone. But
oh, I love that one.
Yeah, but when you have statements like the Holocaust survivor being more privileged than, say, like Oprah Winfrey, for instance, that's something that's so ridiculous that the only way that someone on their side can reconcile that is to either just ignore it entirely and pretend that it didn't happen, try to say that it's like that they're being taken out of context, or that they'll just say that they're a crazy person.
Yeah, but you know what? Yesterday, the biggest question I got sitting around with all these Republicans, a lot of them I've never met before. We're at Panera. We went after the protest. And the question I got often was, why do Jews vote still with these people? And, that's not the question. The question is, you have Jews who, when we're little, we are taught, never forget, taught about the Holocaust. We're taught about there's only a couple million of us left on Earth. How do you get young Jews to subscribe to this? And they do. Like young atheist Jews subscribe to this thing where their Holocaust surviving or Holocaust carcass of a grandparent was more privileged than Michael Jordan. This ideology that they have is obviously absurd, but it's the same thing they always do, which is no one's buying what we're selling. Everything we say is ridiculous. It's all obviously a power grab. How do we get people to buy it? Well, there's two ways. Number one, you import new voters who believe it, or who don't even care, who aren't thinking enough to care. They just want what you have.
Pander to me.
Right. And give me. Or you teach it to them so young in the schools. And while you're teaching it to them, have these gorgeous celebrities and musicians back up what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how this all wraps up, is that if we're going to fight, we still have the numbers. Don't ever mistake that. Most people don't believe this shit. But remember that if we're going to win, like we did in 2016, the only way you do it is by irony, humor, by being creative.
By pointing out the absurdity.
Right, but you can't do that by having an account with 50,000 followers and 49,999 following. These train accounts and these boomers who all they have to do is say, I'm a patriot, I'm shadow banned, libtard, and they're now our leaders. That's not how we win.
No, there's definitely a big disconnect between the conservative intelligentsia, let's say, the conservative actual power players, the people in government and policymakers, and the thought leaders on places like Twitter and social media. Because let's be honest, like that is perhaps the only thing that really makes Twitter valuable. Is it is a excellent case study for people to see how ideas play out. Now, mind you, it's not the real world, but it does allow for a lot of information and to be exchanged with a lot of people very quickly.
It's the culture. And it is the culture because the people that aren't on Twitter, that aren't on social media, they could think there could be 99% of America could not be on Twitter. The 1% that is are the people influencing the common thought of the left and right. And
well, particularly because the news does nothing but just talk about Twitter now. And Twitter might as well just be Twitter might as well change its name to News Farm, because that's like what the majority of journalism is just people talking about people on Twitter.
Well, how about this? So the Young Turks are probably the biggest left-wing channel around, and Chunk Uger endorsed Bernie Sanders. Big deal. It is a big deal. I'm not saying that. I'm saying big deal, for real.
Yeah.
And all that stuff that he said 20 years ago came out, and Bernie Sanders, by the way, Chunk has literally, of the Young Turks, has literally been endorsing Bernie Sanders since the beginning. He's one of his most ardent supporters. Bernie had to come out and say, oh, well, I don't, I'm not accepting endorsements anymore. Then, because of, Twitter yelled at Bernie because Chunk said something 20 years ago. Then Joe Rogan, who has not just the biggest left wing, the biggest podcast, the biggest YouTube channel ever.
He's the PewDiePie of podcasts.
I was about to say that. I honest to God, I was about to say that.
I stole it before you could steal it from me.
How dare you, sir? Well, after Katz just Jewed me out of my Harrison. I said chewed me out. Anti-Semite.
How dare you?
Christ. I hope this channel gets fucking deplatformed. No, but then Joe Rogan says to Barry Weiss, who, by the way, I went to Israel with her father, Lou Weiss, who's a conservative. Just by the way, that's a true story. But Barry Weiss was on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about how he liked Bernie Sanders and how he's probably going to vote for him. And Twitter went nuts. Leftist Twitter was like, he's a transphobe. These people, the left, are literally cutting Bernie Sanders off. They want Bernie to win, but they're like, Bernie, you can't let Joe Rogan or Chunk Uger endorse you. It's like these are the biggest people possible. That's who you want to endorse you. But no, they don't pass the purity test. So they're going to absolutely eat themselves. While they're doing that, while they're literally eating themselves and ruining everything, we need to reorganize, throw away the scum that's rising to the top, and let the cream rise to the top.
I agree. This is the perfect opportunity to clean house, to, as Jordan Peterson would say, to clean our room and put our house in order. Kermit. Oh my God.
By the way, while we're wrapping up, I just want to say a quick shout out to Jordan Peterson. When I was in rehab, Maps a Meaning changed my life. And I hope that his rehabilitation and him and his family are doing great, because real proud of him for going to rehab, and I really hope he's doing well. God bless him.
Yeah, it's a hard lot, definitely.
He gave so much. It'd be nice for life to give something back to him.
I agree. All right, everyone. Well, this has been Kaggot. I don't know exactly what you call this particular conversation. I'll have to rewatch it and decide what exactly we were talking about, because it always goes off a little bit. But anyway, if you like this kind of thing, like and subscribe, share the video, and we will be back. It's been our Cat's Gay, and we love you.
Later.